That's right. So I first have to just share something with you that's apropos to not one thing that I'm about to talk about. And that is you're looking this morning at a little bit of a crazy person. My black lab dog, Poppy, lives her best life when she's in Tracy City with me. We had to go out in Nashville, but she gets to roam. And she came trotting in from outside yesterday and started kind of acting odd. And then was like rubbing herself on the length of the couch, of the couch. And then I noticed she had this kind of gooey thing on her back. And then the whiff came my way. And apparently she has found something to roll around in. And is really happy to share this with you. You're laughing because you've experienced this. Okay. So what do you do? Oh my gosh, Poppy, all right, you're getting a bath right now. So we have an outdoor shower down there. I'm hosing her off. I'm getting wet. I'm cleaning her up. And this is some kind of radioactive smell because I can't get rid of it. Or she has a stash somewhere. And every time she goes outside, she does it again and comes back in. So the reason I say I'm a crazy person this morning is since yesterday afternoon, I've been walking around like this. My whole yard, my couch, my house, I can't get rid of the smell, okay? All right, enough of that. Had to get that out of the way. I will say she looked at me a little bit sheepishly this morning, like, I know, I'll stop.
Bless you, Mom.
Just kidding. Let me start with this Taoist thought this morning. When the path grows crowded, the wise person steps aside. Not all movement is forward. Not all strength is pushing through. There is power in knowing when to withdraw, when to preserve your spirit, when to leave the noise behind. The mountain does not chase the storm, it lets it pass. So too the sage retreats, not in fear, but in clarity. To step back is not defeat. It is alignment with the way. So I love the transition of the seasons. And I think I finally determined that spring is my favorite. It's so filled with hope. And as you were saying, Tony, watching the seeds grow into what they're supposed to be. There's that new growth, and there's some part of it, I think, that's probably just eternal, which is we made it. We survived another winter, and now we plant the seeds and look forward. It's a transition from one state of being into another. Spring for me is moving out of the darkness and the cold into the light and the warmth. And for me, nothing reminds me of that so much as Redbuds. Now, you do have those overeager daffodils to remind you, okay, and they always pop up, but it's the redbuds. And driving from Tracy City, coming down the mountain and then driving up to Clarksville, there are just so many wild redbuds everywhere. And when they pop, it's stunning, isn't it? And every time, every year when they pop, I go, where have those been? And the real answer is they've been there all along. They just look a little different right now. But I have to remember that they're there all the time. I also have to remember that there has to be winter for that to have happened. There are unseen processes occurring all the time. And now the redbuds, I mean, there's still some that are blooming, but the ones that are on my property now, the leaves are coming out. And something else is happening. But I have to remember we can't have spring without the winter. And really, winter comes after the fall. And fall, the leaves falling, comes after the summer. There's an eternal cycle going on. This new growth in the spring will get the dry heat of the summer, and instead of new growth, now it's in survival mode. And after a certain point in the fall, it's going to ease into it, and then it will die and fall. The leaves become humus because of bugs and worms, and rain and snow, and all the oxygen exchange, that carbon dioxide and everything else. And here's the thing, none of it requires my attention or my input. It just is going on. And there's something comforting in that to me. Now I know I can impact things with what I plant and how I tend my garden. It's important for me to remember there is so much bigger going on. I do my little part, and then life goes on. I've said it in here before, it's helpful for me to remember to be a squirrel in the world. And to remember that's all I am, is a squirrel in this big old world. I'm going to talk about something that I've talked about in here before, and if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. When Obama was elected, I thought to myself, finally, we have gotten beyond racism, sexism, and all this conservative, what I consider to be destructive, and I don't want to talk about politics here, but just this, what seems to be a destructive, false sense of Christianity, you name it. I thought we'd gotten past it. But it's like that moment in our history stretched us out here with so much promise. And then it went, wow. And that seems like where we are now. It's this rubber band response to where we were with civil rights for everybody and a sense of togetherness. That idea of, yes, we can It seems like right now it's like, no, you can't. Not gonna let it happen. The comedian Trevor Noah captured it very well. And I may have shared this the last time I was here, but he shared it very well. He said, you know, this whole Donald Trump thing and the current political situation, it's just a black light shining on America. There are those old 60-minute specials where they take a black light into a hotel and go, ooh. Not sitting. But he captures it very well. This group is like a black light and helps us really see what's around us. It brings us back to reality. And I find some comfort in thinking maybe this is what it takes. Maybe we need to see this ugliness, this anger, this dissatisfaction to do something. And I love that we were talking about nonviolent communication earlier. If ever there was a time to master a way to communicate with other people in a way that's non-judgmental, because that's one of the things I'm struggling with the most right now. Be judgmental of how other people are thinking and acting, and it never does any good. But maybe we are in a season of human evolution that has to happen. You know, I don't think the people that were in the middle of the Industrial Revolution looked around and went, you know, this is the Industrial Revolution. Who knows where we're headed right now with AI and everything else? We don't know what time in human evolution we're in. But like my garden at home, I know that my input and how I tend to do things will shape my experience and the results. What I must do, I must do what I can, and then let go. And know that there are processes much bigger than me. I am a squirrel in the world. And I don't know how prayer works, but prayer helps. Simple things like, please help me get out of my own way and do the best I can for the most people today. Help me do the most good for the most people today. So it's comforting somehow to me to just let go and say, I can do so much. And then there's something much bigger at work. Which brings it down from the macro to the micro. Because I think that is true in our personal lives as well. In our relationships with other people. And our degree of personal growth. Our consciousness expanding. Again, to say, I'm still a squirrel. Well, what kind? I definitely impact my own life by what I plant and cultivate. How do I choose to live? Do I want to live in fear, in anger, in frustration? Or do I want to be hopeful, optimistic, proactive? But I can only control so much. I don't know about you guys, but one of my early lessons, and has continued to be a challenge for me, is worrying about what other people think of me. Anybody else struggle with that? Yeah. A friend of mine said he wanted to have a shirt that said, "It's none of my business what other people think of me." And on the back, he wanted it to say, "But I'd still like to know." Acceptance, letting go, just remembering to breathe. Redbuds remind me that there are processes at work. I need those little reminders to keep things in perspective. Other things remind me too, but Redbuds do a really good job of it. You know, in our lives, sometimes, these aren't my words, but they're apropos. Sometimes the universe has to break you open to humble you. Then it isolates you so you can rebuild yourself properly. Once you've done the work, it returns everything to you multiplied, proving that you are always capable and that nothing was random. Trust yourself. Trust the universe. Trust your path is unfolding perfectly. I think that is our work, isn't it? To think about the macro, to look around, be amazed by all these processes that we have nothing to do with, that are miraculous, it seems. They're just ongoing and unfolding, not just in nature, but in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, around us at work and in our cities and in our countries. These are scary, difficult times. And if we were going to light candles for joys and concerns, I think we should always light one for world peace and all the people out there that don't have the resources or the safety to sit in a group like we're sitting and just share and talk and be present. For those people that are just out there trying to survive, we need to light a candle for them every Sunday. But I think it's helpful for us to remember that there are processes at work, that I can make a difference. I'm limited in size though, and then at a certain point, I just need to let go. I do what I do, I tend my garden, I do the best, and then I let go. And if you want to follow along, I'm going to read something to conclude my talk this morning. It's 5:10 in our hymnal. You may have read this recently, but I always think it's appropriate this time of year and anytime we're going through significant transitional times. It's called "O Spirit of Life and Renewal."
What's the number again?
5:10. O Spirit of Life and Renewal. We have wintered enough, mourned enough, oppressed ourselves enough. Our souls are too long cold and buried, our dreams all but forgotten, our hopes unheard. We are waiting to rise from the dead. In this season, the season of steady rebirth, we awaken to the power so abundant, so holy that returns each year through earth and sky. We will find our hearts again and our good spirits. We will love and believe and give and wonder and feel again the eternal powers. The flow of life moves ever onward through one faithful spring and another, and now another. May we be forever grateful. Hallelujah. Amen. Let the redbuds remind you. Let the sprouts of grass coming up in the garden. Let the dogwoods. Let those little yellow flowers on your tomato plants. All those things that we experience, let those remind you that we are a part of something that's bigger than we really understand.